In my free time, I like to help blind people. Verb, not adjective. What up, YouTube? Let's hear. Thanks again for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate it. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much for watching. Just go ahead and please hit that thumbs up button just for the algorithm. And if you enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Go ahead and follow me on YouTube. Nope, follow me on Instagram. Let's do it up. Sorry, let's underscore do it up. LETS underscore DOITUP. And if you would like to send one of your knives or some of your knives in for review on the channel, go ahead and send me an email, letsdiu79@gmail.com. I'll send you my shipping address. As soon as I get the knife, I will carry it for a week or two and then do the review, and I'll get it back out to you guys as soon as possible. That would really help the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Today we're going to be doing a quick review on the Spartan Harsey Folder Plague Doctor version. This is actually take 2. You guys know that I don't really edit my videos at all, but what I will sometimes do if I think that the video sounded kind of stupid, or if I was stumbling over my words or whatever, I'll go back and watch it, and if I don't feel like you guys are going to enjoy it, I'll just burn it and make another recording. So again, wish me luck. This is take 2. So let's get some quick specs on this guy. This knife is 8.7, actually just a hair over, 8.75 inches overall, with a blade length of 4 inches, cutting edge of 3.65 inches, and a handle of 4.8 inches. Some quick comparisons compared to the Rat Model 1. The Rat 1 is going to be just a hair shorter than this guy. The Rat Model 2 obviously is going to be quite a bit shorter than the Plague Doctor. Next up is the DEMKO knives. The 8020S is going to be just a bit shorter than the Plague Doctor, and the 8020.5 is obviously going to be quite a bit shorter than the Plague Doctor. Last but not least, we've got the SPYDERCO knives. The SPYDERCO Paramilitary 2 is going to be just a little bit shorter than the Plague Doctor, and the Para 3 is obviously going to be quite a bit shorter than the Plague Doctor. Alright, carry profile. Let's take a look here. Alright, when all these knives are closed, the Plague Doctor is just a hair longer than the Para 2, Paramilitary 2, and it's quite a bit longer than the Para 3. Check the thickness compared to the Para 3. The thickness on the Plague Doctor is just a little bit thicker than the Para 3. Let's check the height at the tallest point of this blade here, and we'll go ahead and check it on the thumb ramp. So the Plague Doctor, as you can see, is nowhere near as tall as the Para 3. My calipers are still on the fritz, so just trust me when I tell you that the blade thickness on this guy is, the blade stock thickness is 154 thousandths, and behind the edge, it's pretty thick behind the edge. The thickness behind the edge on this guy is 24 thousandths. We'll go over that a little bit later. Check a weight on this guy. It'll help if I turn it on first, right? Okay, good. Pounds and ounces. We're looking at exactly 6 ounces. So again, this guy's a little bit chonky, and it's a little bit heavy in the pocket, but I think most people that would be interested in this knife will already know that it's going to be a pretty big knife in the pocket, a little bit hefty to carry, but not too bad. Alright, the blade steel on this guy, we're looking at S45VN, which I think personally that it's fantastic. Nice to see something that's not in MagnaCut, that's not an M390. Not that I don't like M390, it's on everything, absolutely everything, over $200. So the S45 on this guy I think is absolutely fantastic. This is a drop point blade with a flat grind, not a full flat grind, but there is a swedge that carries out to about 70-75 the length of the blade. And did I call that a flat? I'm not sure if I called that a flat or not, but that's a flat. There's a swedge that starts about a quarter of the way down the blade and carries all the way out to the tip. Excuse me. Again, there's a lot I want to say about this knife, so I'm kind of just going to break it down incrementally, and then we'll go through one part at a time after we get through all the specs and everything. This guy is running on phosphor bronze washers, very large phosphor bronze washers. It's got obviously a very large pivot here. The hardware is all titanium, and we're looking at a T8 for the pivot screw, and we're looking for a T8s for everything else. I apologize. No, the pivot is a T15, and everything else on here is a T8. You've got T8s for the body screws, you've got T8s for the pocket clip, and you've also got a T8 here for this little filler tab here for the pocket clip. Titanium scales. You can see it's a titanium frame lock with a stamped titanium pocket clip. We'll go over that here in just a few minutes. There is no steel lock bar insert on this guy. The lock face is carbonized, and there is quite a bit of a late lockup here, but again, we'll go over that here in just a few minutes. There is no blade play left, right, up, or down on this guy, and you can see when it's closed that the centering on this knife is absolutely perfect. The balance on this guy is a little bit further back behind the pivot than we're used to, but I think, you know, this thing is just so heavy in the handle, so it's a little bit butt heavy, as you can see. But it's not terrible. Definitely very comfortable in the hand. The ergonomics on this guy are fantastic, absolutely hand melting. The way they've done the milling on this knife, it fits perfectly into my hand. It feels like it was actually milled, you know, custom for me just to fit into my hand, so that's fantastic. Really, really love this knife. It's so comfortable. The deployment, as you could see earlier, it's very snappy action. This is not a drop shut knife, as you can see. It's more of like the Chris Reeve action, where you know you're able to flip it out with your thumb, but it's got very smooth, controlled, consistent action all the way back down into the handle. The D10 on this knife is perfectly tuned, as you can see, and the lockup is very, very good. Again, quite a late lockup here. I'd say about 50 to 60%. The lockup on this knife was at this point when I first got it out of the box, but it has not moved over at all, and I play with this knife all day, every day. So I think the fact that the lock face is carbonized helps with that quite a bit. And there is quite a bit of surface contact between the lock face and the tang of this blade. So I don't foresee this having too much of a problem moving any further over. I don't think that's going to be an issue. At least I hope not. The disengagement is very easy, no lock stick or anything like that. And there is quite a bit of aggressive, heavy jimping on this knife. There's quite a bit of jimping up here on the spine of the blade, quite a bit of jimping here on the spine of the handle. And then, as you can see, there's also quite a bit of jimping here down towards where the pinky finger and the ring finger hold on to the knife. The jimping on this knife kind of reminds me of the jimping on the Hinderer XM series knives. That's not really to say that this resembles an XM series knife. It just, you know, the jimping, like I said, kind of reminds me of that. As far as price on this guy, it will vary. You've got standard just raw titanium and satin blade or stonewash blade. That one comes in at around $465, and as you move up with more exotic materials and everything, it can go as high as $650. This particular version with the etching and the coated blade and all that stuff, this particular version was $565. These are currently available on most websites. They've got them on Knife Center, Blade HQ, Knife Art, DLT Trading has some. There's quite a few available right now, and they've got a bunch of different versions of these, you know, etched handles. They've got the Viking longboat. There's one with a koi fish. There's one with a whole bunch of playing cards on it. I think that's the Royal Flush. Just, I wouldn't say dozens of different kinds, but there's definitely more than 5 or 10. So, you know, if you guys, you know, are particularly are interested in a particular version or something like that, it should be available right now if you want to go take a look and purchase that guy. I will put some links in the description for where you can get these knives. They are, as I said, definitely available right now. So, how does this knife make me feel? The first thing that comes to mind when I handle this knife, as far as not necessarily the aesthetics, but just the way the knife feels, is, you know, one word that pops into my head is confidence. I'm very confident that this knife will perform as it's supposed to. and take care of just about anything that you can throw it at. It's a very heavy duty use knife. I wouldn't say it's an overbuilt knife or anything like that, but it's definitely a hard use knife for sure. We'll start with the blade. You've got this 4-inch blade here with, as I said, the 154,000 blade stock thickness. Very robust blade for sure, and it is very thick down at the edge. So it's not going to be a very slicey knife, but it's absolutely going to be a knife that will take whatever kind of abuse that you can put it through. There is a little bit of billboarding on the blade here. It says USA S45VN, and then you've got the Spartan Harsey symbol here, and then on the other side of the blade, as you can see, it says William W. Harsey. That is the gentleman that collaborated with Spartan Blades to make this knife, and he is very well known for making hard use or tactical knives. So I think that was a good combination for Spartan Blades to get involved with him for sure. The coating on this knife is absolutely fantastic. As you can see, there's no like fading spots or discoloration or anything like that on this knife. The coating is very, very good, and it's kind of like a chalkboard coating, but it's not quite as coarse as that. It's pretty smooth. But I've cut all kinds of stuff with this knife. I've cut wood, I've cut cardboard, plastic. Anything that you can think of, I'm pretty sure I've been cutting with it. While it does leave marks on the blade, it's just kind of the powder from whatever material it is that you're cutting. If you just get a wet cloth and wipe it off, it comes right off. There's no scratches or nicks or dings or anything like that in this coating at all. So it's definitely holding up very, very well. There is no sharpening choil here. Some people have an issue with that. I don't necessarily know that I do. I don't think it's an issue. I'm not going to try to sharpen it myself just because I don't want to ruin the blade. I'll definitely send this out to be sharpened. But other than that, I don't think that's a problem. There is no finger choil or anything like that, but with this flat part being right here and with the way this scale is angled, you can get your finger in here to try to kind of choke up on the blade a little bit, but you just have to be careful that you don't go too far and get your finger on that the cutting edge there. But again, like I said, if you're cognizant of that, I don't think it should be a problem. There is a little bit of a raised area here, kind of like a thumb ramp, which makes it very comfortable in the hand. When you're holding it in the standard hammer grip, it falls right there, so you can get quite a bit of control on this knife. And with the rest of the jimping and just the way that this knife is milled, you're really locked in when you have a grip on this knife. It's not going anywhere. You could definitely use this guy in the Vaseline factory for sure. I don't know if I told you this guy's running on phosphor bronze washers. I'm pretty sure that I did. But you just have very, very large phosphor bronze washers, a very big one on the show side, and then on a lock side it's a little bit smaller to make room for this lock bar. But still, with the phosphor bronze action, very, very smooth, consistent, glassy action on this guy for sure. You can see that it whips right out with the thumb stud. You don't have to use a flick of the wrist or anything like that to get this guy to deploy. That is no problem whatsoever not having bearings on this knife. Actually, I'd rather not have bearings on this knife just in case you do have to use it in the dirt or sand or anything like that. You're not going to get any kind of crap in the pivot. So that is a really good aspect of this knife. It is pretty smooth. If you push the lock bar down to the side, it should just fall right down, and then you can close it the rest of the way with your thumb. So as you can see, it's not really super stiff in there. If I push the lock bar right, it'll fall, I think. What's going on? I think it's just the angle where I'm trying to hold it under the camera and show you guys. So yeah, there you go. And then once you get it halfway down, you can just push it down with your finger, or you can shake it shut a little bit if you want to. So then you've got the stop pin right here, which some people have an issue with that being exposed. They kind of just wanted them to drill a pocket into the titanium scale here, not all the way through. That way they could keep the stop pin hidden. I kind of feel like that would be better, just to, help it be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. You don't have that silver pin right there showing, but it's not an issue, obviously, for the function of the knife. It's not going to cause any problems at all. But now we're getting into the other part of this knife that I think of is one of the biggest draws to it. Yes, it is a hard use knife. It will take whatever abuse you can put at it. But this is also a really, really beautiful knife. It's absolutely gorgeous. First of all, I love the contrast between the bronze hardware and the green anodization on the handle. And then you've got these huge pivots here with this biohazard sign. It just looks really, really nice. I like the way that looks a lot. The next part here is just this deep, deep etching that you can see in all these different parts of the knife. Here's the banner which says, "Do not fear, my dear." You've got the coronavirus behind the plague doctor there, and then the plague doctor itself. It's just very, very well done. You can see all the detail in the mask and the seams, where the eye holes are, the hat. It's just so well done, and I have no idea how they get all these different anodization colors in here. You've got the green, and then you've got, excuse me, you've got this bronze color. I don't know how they did that, but it's absolutely stunning. Then you've got this staff here, and then there's an eagle behind the plague doctor. I'm not sure why the eagle's there, but it looks nice. And then you've got the rest of the banner down here, but you can just see these pits here from all the etching. It's just such a deep etch, and you can even feel it. It's just such an absolutely stunning knife. I love the way they did this. Another thing that I really like about it is this distressed look here. You can see where some of the parts of the bronze are coming through. It's not necessarily from, you know, the anodization fading off. It was kind of like this when I got the knife. There are some spots where the anodization has started to fade off a little bit right here around the pivot. But it's not terrible. It kind of looks to me like, you know, just a little, it's adding a little bit to that distressed look. So I don't mind that at all. It's not a problem. Then you've got the filler tab here, which has a Spartan helmet etched into the center of it. Some people have an issue with that, some people don't. Obviously, I like the fact that there's a filler tab there instead of just having a hole, because it is nice that you can make this this knife left or right hand friendly. Ambidextrous knives are definitely better to have than just a right-handed friendly knife. A lot of companies in the knife community still aren't really recognizing the fact that there are a lot of left-handed people in the community these days. And even when they make a knife that can be used ambidextrally, I don't know if that's a word or not, but even when they do that, like using thumb studs and maybe a crossbar lock or something like that, so you can use the knife left or right-handed, they don't make a spot on the other side for lefties for a pocket clip, which kind of sucks. So next we're going to talk about this pocket clip. A lot of people have issues with the pocket clip. I do not personally, but that's just me. I think it works really well. Comes in and out of the pocket with no problem at all. This little spot right here where the arrow ends kind of helps you to get a better grip on the pocket clip when you're taking it out of your pocket. But as far as it being a stamped titanium pocket clip, I mean, listen, all the other, not all the other, but the other, some of the other companies who sell high-end knives, Hinderer, Chris Reeve, Strider, they all use this stamped titanium pocket clip. Now, while you're paying a lot of money for the knife, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a milled titanium pocket clip on the knife. It's nice, but it's just not absolutely necessary. This works just fine. Yes, it would be nice to have a titanium or a milled titanium pocket clip on it, but I'm not mad about the fact that it doesn't. The next thing here is that people get upset about sometimes is this huge area here where they cut out for the lock bar. It definitely does not need to be that wide. You shouldn't be able to fit a popsicle stick into the area between the lock bar and the rest of the scale. That being said, again, I don't think it causes an issue. I've heard people say that could make it so that if you push too hard on the lock bar, it will push it down towards the scale and cause it to be malformed or something like that, which, I mean, if you've ever tried to push the lock bar down on this knife towards the rest of the scale, it's not exactly the easiest thing in the world to do. So if you end up doing that, I think it's more because you're doing something with the knife that you're not supposed to be doing. Yes, it would be nice if there was less of a space here, but again, I don't think that causes any issue with the function of the knife. It's just a little bit of an aesthetic issue for some people. You do have a pocket clip, a lanyard hole milled into the titanium scales here. I don't really need to say anything more about that. And then you've also got some nice etching on this side as well. A couple of little coronavirus cells there, just floating around on the scale of the knife. And then, as you can see here, this is not a screw hole. This is the detent. This is the hole for the detent ball. But again, there is no stainless steel lock bar insert on this guy. The lock face on this guy is carbidized. And as you can, while there is quite a late lockup on this guy, as I've said, it hasn't moved over at all since I got it, and I've flipped this thing open and closed thousands of times since I got it. So this does not seem to be a huge issue to me. If it does end up moving over a little further, then maybe I'll send a message to the company and see if there's anything they can do for me to fix that. But from what I've heard from other people, it doesn't seem to be a serious issue with this lock bar moving over any further than it already has. But I guess at the end of the day, I kind of have the emotional, I'm at the emotional level of about a caveman. So I normally don't really care about pretty things on knives or a knife being beautiful or anything like that. But this is one of the things that I really, really love about this knife is, not only the fact that it's a knife that you can use to cut open a car if you need to, but it's also very, very, very beautiful. All of this etching is so well done, and it's a conversation piece. You show this to somebody, most of the time you just show a knife to somebody, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool, and then they close it and they give it back to you, and that's the end of it. But when I show this one to my friends, they get really, really excited about it. They're like, wow, that's really nice. Does that anodization wear off after a while, or this, that, and the other? I'm like, well, it doesn't seem to be too bad. I'm like, it's rubbing off a little bit, but that just seems to be adding to the look of the knife. And like I said, you don't have a lot of knives out there that are instant conversation pieces, and this is definitely one of them. But at the same time, it's very, very, very well made. You put this thing in your hand, you open it up, and you get a good grip on it. To me, it feels like a fixed blade. I don't mean that to imply that it's the same thing as a fixed blade, or it's as safe as a fixed blade, or as strong. It's not. But when you whip this thing open, it feels so solid that it feels like a fixed blade to me. And it comes down to something that they have written on the box here. Let me see if I can find it. I thought I had it ready to read it, but apparently I don't. There we go. It says on the bottom of the box here, knives with intent. And that says to me that, when they made this knife, there's a reason for everything that they did on it, including the etching and the detail work and all that stuff. So yeah, they wanted to make it an attractive knife. They wanted to make it aesthetically pleasing and fun to look at, but they also wanted to make it a safe knife that will last you your entire life and take whatever you can throw at it and keep on just smiling and coming at you. Such a great knife. If anybody's interested in getting this knife, I would definitely recommend getting one for sure. But I feel like I feel like I got everything I wanted to say out, and I feel like it definitely sounded a little bit more normal this time. Last time I did the video, it kind of sounded like a ferret on Adderall that had just drank a Red Bull. So again, I think that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that. And stay up, y'all. Take it easy. Bye.